So we're here with Shelly Young, and it's such a pleasure to have you here and to spend this time with you so that we can chat and get to know you better. You have a wonderful program that we're really excited to let all of our listeners know about. So before we go into all the details of your program, and I want to know more about you. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, anything you want to tell us?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you. I'm Shelly, but sometimes on my books it says Michelle. So people are like, who's that? I'm like, it's me. But yes, you guys call me Shelly, and I'm a mom of four, homeschool mom of four. I've been homeschooling for over, 10 years, 11. I think it'll be 12 years this year. 12 years of homeschooling, and oh my goodness, business owner, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and CEO of Kids Finance Camp. So man, I guess my heart is for people and to see people win with money, but also win in life. And so I'm a personal development coach, finance coach, all of the above. I coach women mostly. I haven't coached any kids yet, but it's been such a fun journey to just be able to see people win with money and in life.
Shelly, on your website, you share that you also just shared with us a different number. You said it's been almost 12 years now that you've been homeschooling. Yeah. And there wasn't a ton of resources for homeschooled kids around money. So you went and you created your own, which I love. Hats off to you. That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
Go-getter attitude. Yeah. You state that here at Kids Finance Camp, we are a fun financial education platform that helps kids learn how to win with money through budgeting, saving, investing, giving, and entrepreneurship. We want all children to learn early how to build a strong financial legacy. We focus on ages 1-year-olds to young college-aged students. Our mission is to help at least 100,000 students gain financial literacy, especially marginalized groups, by 2032. Our passion lies in empowering the kids in the community with the tools, resources, and education needed to build a strong financial future. Wow. Those are big, lofty goals, and I'm here for it. I cannot wait to watch this happen with you, Shelly.
Thank you.
They're such important goals, and unfortunately, as we just talked about, it's a subject that we just aren't doing a very good job of when it comes to teaching our youth. However, when I read the 1-year-old piece, I was like, what? No, how is she doing this? So,
were you like, she's crazy, she can't do that?
No. So I was just like, I have to talk to her, and I have to know. Can you, obviously we don't want you to share all your secrets, but can you briefly share a bit about how you would introduce these concepts to children that young?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a story. So I have a 2-year-old niece. She just turned 2 in May, and oh my goodness, I love her. So we were visiting my dad in Las Vegas last year, and my dad didn't have any toys around. He's like a bachelor. And so he didn't have any toys for her, but she saw my books. She saw my kids' finance books. And so she grabbed one, she sat on my lap and, basically like, read to me. At 1 year old, you can totally read books about money. Kids are such sponges. And so I read to her this book, and, those money concepts stick with them, as they're learning how to speak and they're learning how to walk and talk and things like that. And so it's so important that you're reading books to, of course, your kids, but even at 1, you can really introduce those money concepts to them. And also, at 1, I totally would introduce chores. I introduce chores to my kids super young. And so you can have them pick up little socks or move a basket and things that are age appropriate, and then give them $1, at the end of the week, and explain to them, this is your money that you got for your chores. And so you can really introduce. I think that a lot of times there's a myth around like, is it too early to introduce? And I think that is a myth, that they are young, but they are so willing to learn. So even at 1, you can introduce money concepts to them. Yeah,
absolutely. What kind of money concepts at that age are being introduced? Like, what kind of concepts are in the books?
I would say, so the first book set is 6. So you have giving, saving, investing, budgeting, credit, and entrepreneurship. And so the first book set is geared towards, I would say, 1 to even, I felt like some 9-year-olds read my books because they have pictures and things like that. So I wouldn't say like 10-year-old people would read it, but the illustrations are so beautiful for the younger ones, and they're learning through, oh my goodness, the colors. And so we're talking about saving, we're talking about investing, we're talking about budgeting in such a fun and integrative way.
That's awesome. And those are such important concepts. And I'm pretty blown away. I mean, giving and saving, sure. But I mean, you're throwing entrepreneurship in there, and that's amazing. That's incredible. And credit. And I wished I had known about that prior. I learned it all in college too, and not very well, so. So you mentioned 9, and then you mentioned 10, and that's a different age group. We're in elementary school now. We can be a little bit more in depth. I love the idea of chores. I'm sure that's still happening at that age group. What else can you start introducing in those elementary years?
Absolutely. And so for my kids in the elementary school years, I want them to practice. So we have the chore system that we do, but we give them money at the end of the week. Before we did cash, but now we do Greenlight debit because we want them to practice budgeting with their Greenlight debit card. With the Greenlight debit card, they're able to go into stores and actually use their money, use their Greenlight debit card, and they can practice and they can see on the app how much money they have. And funny story, my 15-year-old daughter, she went into a store and she didn't have enough money to cover her purchase because she had been swiping, and she got her first decline. And she calls me, she's like, Mom, I didn't have enough. It declined. Oh, she was like mortified. She's in Target, gets a decline. Those are lessons that will stick with them forever. And so in those elementary school years, you want them to do chores. You want them to practice. So you want them to be able to earn money. You want them to be able to save money. You want them to be able to give and see those different categories of money. And so I even have my kids practice budgeting. I have budget printables on my website where they can actually put in how much money they have, how much they want to save, how much they want to give. They're writing now. Kids are writing, at this age, at the elementary school age, so they can really write those numbers down. And so being able to see it visually and actually practice executing those budget lessons.
That is absolutely amazing. I love the idea of working on a budget at that age. That's mind-blowing to me. And what a powerful lesson for your daughter. I mean, I feel that is going to, heading into adulthood, she's going to be so much more cognizant of her budget and how much money she has available to her. Can you tell us a little bit about, it was like the Greenlight debit card. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I wanted my kids to be able to practice while they're in our home. So the Greenlight debit card, I think you pay a monthly fee. I think it's a small minimal fee. And you can put your kids, write your kids, input all of their information, then link it to your bank account. And you can even put chores in there. So if they complete their chores in the app, you can kind of check it off. And then on Friday or every 2 weeks, you pay them straight out of, and it's automated. So you don't even have to think about it. Also, what I love about Greenlight debit card is that you can save and invest right in the app. And so you can save, you can automate saving. And so it'll put it in a different place so that they won't spend the money. And so I automate those things. Saving, giving is also, so you can give 10% in there as well. And they have the option of investing. We don't use Greenlight for investing, but the option is there. It's super easy. Isn't that crazy? So my 8-year-old has it, my 10-year-old has it, my 11-year-old has it, and my 15-year-old have it.
I was just going to ask, at what age did you start? Is that at 8 that you started that?
No, I think that my daughter was either 6 or 7. So she's been doing it for at least a year. Yep. And so I have 2 spenders and 2 savers. And when I look at their Greenlight debit, my 2 spenders, they range $2, maybe $20. And then the other ones who are my savers, $200, $300, because they save all of their money, and it's so
Wow.
funny, but I want them to be able to see, oh man, I need to save. And so my spenders, they have to work on saving. And then my savers have to work on, okay, it's okay to make a purchase. It's okay. I've saved this amount. I can spend money. And so like getting them to practice spending money. And so it's so neat to see their different personalities, and under our roof, they can make mistakes, not waiting until they go to college to make those mistakes. And so we really, really want our kids to practice, even if it's using cash. Before we had Greenlight debit, we had them have little pouches with their money pouches. So they had their spend envelopes, they had their give envelopes, they had their saving, and they had investing envelopes. And so they would put they would get their money on Fridays, and then they put 10% in give, and then they would put a certain amount in save, investing, and even budgeting. And so, or even spending. And so it was neat for them to be able to practice with cash first. And then we transitioned to Greenlight once they kind of mastered the cash.
So you said you don't have them practice investing through Greenlight. How do you practice the investment piece with them?
So we have been investing for probably, I would say, 3 years with them. And, once I taught them how to invest and about invest, it started out with my daughter, who one summer she babysat for friends and made like $500. And she made like all this money. She was like, Mom, like I made all of this money. I don't want to spend it all on clothes. And this is my spender, just by the way, she's my spender.
Wow.
She was like, I don't want to spend it all on clothes. I was like, really? So we can do something with it. We can do something with it. And she was like, absolutely. And so I asked her, how much of it do you want to invest? And initially, we started out by just like, how much do you want to invest? Do you want me to pick your investments, or do you want to have a say in what you invest in? And initially, I would say my kids, like for the first year, I would say my kids were like, Mom, here's my money. Can you invest it for me? And so I would pick stocks based on what they were interested in. My kids were into Roblox. So I would buy Roblox stock, and they're into Dave and Buster's and things like that. And so I would research stocks for them and say, hey, I bought these stocks. This is how much money you had, and this is what stocks. But recently, the last year, my kids have wanted to be a little bit more involved in the investing process. And so my 10-year-old came to me and said, Mom, I want to buy a stock. I have this much money. Can I research stocks? And so what I did was I went on Robinhood. I would say the apps that I think are super, super user-friendly for moms and people who just don't know a ton about investing. Robinhood is one of them. Acorns is one of them. And even Cash App. Cash App is super easy and fun. I wanted something that would take the guesswork out of, and even oh my goodness, I have to be rich and wealthy to invest, right? I wanted the normal mom, the person who I have no knowledge when it comes to investing. I just need to be able to do this. And so Robinhood is a really, really good one to start out with, but also Acorns. I love, 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 love Acorns because you can create accounts for each of your children. And then you can transfer money into their account, whether it be a birthday. Say, for instance, they get money for a birthday. And that's a lot of times what we do is like when they get birthday money, they don't need toys. They don't need new games. So I'm like, hey, how much of your money do you want to invest? And they'll say, I want to, and then they'll give me the money. And now it's like not a thing. Like they know, like we're going to invest a certain amount every single time they get money. But Acorns, you can create their own profiles, transfer money over. And then with Acorns, they will invest it for you. They will invest it for you. So you don't even have to think about picking individual stocks.
Wow, that's amazing. And I want to ask, what do you add in for middle and high school kids? But I feel like, you're
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Yes. From an early age, can I be honest with you, Chrissy? From an early age, I want kids investing. From an early age, I want kids investing because then they have time, that compound interest. That money has time to grow. I was looking at numbers with my husband the other day, and our 8-year-old, we have started super early with her, if we just invest, and we didn't start out investing all of this, just FYI, if we just invest $100 a month for our 8-year-old from now until the time she's 38, do you know that she'll have over $100,000 saved by the time she's 38 with just a 6% return on investment? $100 a month, just $100 a month. And we started probably 10, 20. You know, those coffees that we buy in the morning, or those lunch runs that we can take that money and invest in our kids, or even invest in ourselves. And so just little small changes. I didn't have the money to start investing. Can I be honest? I wasn't the mom who had a lot of margin in our budget to start investing. You know what I did? I sold stuff. I sold stuff around the house. I consigned, side hustled. I did whatever it took to create that margin, because my husband was like, oh, we don't really have a whole lot. We don't have a lot to, and I had to buckle down and say, okay, well, how can I get creative in creating that margin in our budget so that we can invest in our kids' future?
Shelly, it's funny, as you were talking earlier about your kids, and you said you had 2 spenders and 2 savers, and you were describing their personalities. I felt in a way you were describing me and my husband. He being the saver, me being the spender. Like, I pull him out and I'm like, we should spend some money. We have to enjoy life. And he's like, we need to save, So I felt like you were describing us. Yes. But as you were talking about all of this, I found myself thinking about teaching these concepts to my daughter. And I just want to say thank you, because I think you're probably going to have a new biggest fan in my husband, because I'm going to go to him and be like, we just did this podcast interview and I think we should start saving, you should consider investing. And he's going to be like, have her back on the podcast again. So thank you very much. I feel very inspired. I am excited to check out your books and read them with my daughter. And I'm excited to, absolutely. Thank you. And I'm excited to dive into these concepts and Greenlight and chores. I'm definitely excited about chores. So you've given us so many exciting things. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.